Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is Dr. Bob, and this is the space and the place where we talk about things important to your soul. As always, if you're a loyal follower or just somebody new to us, please click subscribe. Let people know that you like us. It helps keep us on the air. Today's guest is somebody I've known for most of my life. He's actually my cousin, Phil Fassett. And when he told me a story a couple years ago about an experience that he had, I thought, wow, that is quite a spiritual experience. Not many people can say what happened to Phil has happened to them. I saw it as a miracle, and we'll find out how he saw it. But Phil, the way that we do this is I ask you to relate your spiritual journey from childhood until now. And then if I don't interrupt you to clarify anything, at the end I will then ask you questions based on the story that you've told. And then at the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity to leave the audience with a couple words of wisdom. So that's how this works. And I'm going to turn the mic over to you to let us know the highlights of your spiritual journey.
Okay. When you just said that you're going to ask me to give some words of wisdom, I was writing down important words I want to talk about, like never eat the yellow snow, things of that sort that are just really
Okay.
significant. Okay, well, hey, my spiritual journey really started about the time Bob and I were born. Uh, Bob and his brother and my brother and I were part of two families. My mom and Bob's dad were because they're both gone now, brother and sister. And we spent a lot of our lives growing up with them. They lived on a different side of Pittsburgh than I did. So when we got together, it was usually for holidays. And during the holidays, besides just camaraderie things and talking about what we've been doing, we had singing activities would take place that were directed typically by my mom. And those were the start of my journey that led me into singing, which was one of the main things in my life. And it's my wife now, Linda Palmer. She and I, the main thing that draws us together is singing in different locations. The main piece of music we sing is the Messiah, Handel's Messiah, which is I think this winter will be my 59th different year of my life. I've sung all of this piece of music or a portion of it. It's about a 3.5 hour piece of music if you do the whole thing, which nobody ever does, unless you go up to Northern Ontario, where we've gone to where Linda was born and did it up there with the ALCOA chamber singers once. But this singing thing led into my mother and father, my brother and I going to sing with my grandmother, who was a choir director at Homewood Methodist Church in Pittsburgh. And we were required to sing. My brother and I, one of us had to decide who was going to be a bass and who was going to be a tenor. And he got to be the bass and I got to be the tenor, which meant we'd sing quartets together and different pieces of music together. We'd perform at every Sunday service with my grandmother leading the music performance, and my grandfather and the rest of my family and several others were part of the chorus. And I was required to be there. It was like the dictate, and I had to do that through through my college years at the University of Pittsburgh. Uh, so all this background, I'm really trying to indicate that I was given a strange introduction to who God was or who Jesus Christ was. I mean, I really didn't have any idea whether he was really a super carpenter that got lots of publicity when he was younger and became well known all over the world, or he was a very religious person, or he was the son of God. So it was always a big question mark in my mind. So, but life went on. But I knew there were spiritual things that I was associated with. This singing thing brought me into University of Pittsburgh on a golf scholarship. I joined the Heinz Chapel Choir and sang with them. I sang all through high school also. And Heinz Chapel Choir was going to take a tour of Europe on my first year at Pitt. And it turned out I wasn't allowed to go. The athletic department said, no, you're not going on that tour. You're going to stay here and play golf. That's why we give you this free ride through school. And I said, okay, well, if that's the case, so be it. But continued on through that experience, and then through everywhere I went. I went to work for ALCOA after college and spent 30 years working with them in different locations in upstate New York, Messina, New York, which is 69 miles from Montreal, Canada. And I've sung in choirs up there, and then moved to Detroit and sang in choirs there. And just one piece of music, Handel's Messiah, is the thread that goes through all of that. That's always been something I could join a group and at Christmas time, go sing that either with a church choir or with a formal orchestra, which was performing Sing in Messiahs. I went to Times Square once in New York City to do the Messiah with 2,000 other people. That's a lot of people singing out in the cold.
Yeah.
That is pretty exciting. And then I moved here to Evansville, Indiana area, which I've been here for almost like 40 years now, and been involved in finishing my work with ALCOA at the largest aluminum plant in the world, which is here in the outskirts of the Evansville area. And the chorus that we joined is where I met Linda Palmer, my wife, and she's an alto and I'm a tenor, and we sang in a number of different places. And one of the main things that we did with the Evansville Philharmonic Orchestra for about an 8-year period was we did gospel concerts. We were trying to integrate a number of the African-American churches in with the typical WASP churches that were involved with the chorus that sang with the orchestra, which was about 100 people. And so we attempted to get more African Americans into our chorus. And we still don't have many right now, but I think this probably happened a decade and a half ago. I don't recall the exact dates, unless I went back and looked at old programs. But in these gospel concerts, there was a conductor. His name was Sean Humphreys, and he was just completely different than what our normal chorus conductors were that I was working with. In my choruses with the Evansville Philharmonic Chorus, we read music and we practiced what we read and performed from being able to read music. In the African American churches, most of them learned their music by rote. The music conductor would sing a part for the theme of the piece, the melody, and the sopranos would sing the melody, and then he would sing another part that would be for the altos, and then a third part that would be for the tenors. And the basses, they didn't have any parts. That was just, they make up something. They're going to sing with it. It was just kind of I don't know, I guess it was kind of rude to the basses because they deserved a little bit more recognition than that. And so that's how we learned. A big crow just flew into my window just about. It was just kind of a wing. So that's how we rehearsed with to prepare for these gospel concerts with John Humphreys. And I would help the other tenors that were not used to reading music, how to read the music and what it showed on the lines of the music that we were given. And then they would help me with rote. How do I memorize the words better so that, yeah, and the part better? And I said, well, I can do that. And a lot of times, you know, I want to make up my own parts because that's something that I've done before at different places. So one concert we had, and this was, all the rehearsals were very unusual rehearsals. That some of the people would get up and they'd do praises to the Lord and say, what the heck? I'm wondering, what are they doing that for? What's that all about? And they were just different ways of going through rehearsals than I was used to. And as we went on, I found out, you know, that the performances were similar to that too. And Sean Humphreys, they want me to clap and sing and sway and sing and sway and clap and sing. I don't do sway, clap, and sing. I do sing, I do clap, or I do sway. Sometimes if something moves me, I can clap and sing at the same time, but very seldom sway, clap, and sing. So when we would prepare for dress rehearsals and performances, a lot of times I would link arms with the guys beside me, and they would sway and sway me back and forth so I could sing. And when I'm linked, you know, I can clap easily. That's so, but I try not to do that because sometimes I'd be off pitch, yeah, or off rhythm with what we were supposed to be doing. So that was very interesting as well. And the tenors were the main voices that Sean Humphreys had for his course. The tenors would be right in front of him, and then the sopranos would be to one side and the altos another, and the basses would be way in the back somewhere where they could just do whatever they want to do. And this gospel chorus was about 200 people. So we were doing the dress rehearsal for one of our gospel concerts in the early years, maybe the third or fourth of the 8-year run that we had with these. And there was a song called Every Valley that a soprano soloist, a beautiful soprano soloist, would sing. I'm trying to think of her name. It's yeah, her last name was, she's one of the Brown Sisters, which is a local amazing group. And anyway, we're here at this rehearsal, and you know, we go through the arm length stuff and the capping, and then this Every Valley doesn't have an arm length thing. It's just like we're singing different parts, and the soloist is going through her part of the solo, and she turns around and looks at me while she's singing her solo. I think, what's that about? I mean, the audience is out there, it's not here.
Yeah.
And Sean Humphreys, the conductor, instead of looking at all the tenors, looks directly at me. And I'm thinking, what is that about? And so then I felt myself gradually rise off the risers. I was actually off the ground, moving up, and I'm thinking, this is very interesting. It's unusual. And at that moment, or very close to that moment, I knew that Jesus Christ was not a carpenter or a famous person, but was the Son of God. And after that rehearsal, a number of people came up to me and said, you saw him, didn't you? Which was just shocking to me because I'm a very, I'm not a, I'm a very analytical person. So things that are spiritual are not part of what I think about or use to try and make judgments about life. But that experience and the other people bringing me into their world, and it was like I was hugged by many people at the same time. And it wasn't, I don't recall it being that many of the people that I normally sing with in the Philharmonic chorus, but the African American people who I got to know and love very much. And from that moment on, everything in my life has been very peaceful and relaxed, and I've been more patient and more accepting of whatever happens, and more appreciative of the life that I have had and am continuing to have. So that's my job. And by the way, now I didn't used to pray much, but I pray every day, every day. And I always started off by thanking God for what a wonderful life He's given me. And I hope he is okay. I'm not sure if that's really he or she or they anymore. It's
Yeah.
But I, I go to Jesus when I need help. When I feel like I need help, I ask for Him to let me do my best when I sing. I ask I hardly ever ask for forgiveness. I don't do anything that's bad anymore. Or I did when I was a kid with Bob, his brother, and my brother. Matter of fact, we did some horrible things around this time of year, I think, and especially October 31st days. But hey, that's my story pretty much. I don't know. It sounds kind of strange, and when I share it with people, I don't share it with real macho people that are not don't that are not clearly believers. But when I find believers, I don't mind sharing that story. And so I am thinking everybody that's going to hear this podcast, Bob, is a believer who believes in Jesus Christ.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but they are a believer in a spiritual life. So we've had Muslims and Jews and a Sikh and all kinds of people on this podcast. But they do believe in a higher power, that's for sure. So at the end of this experience, people hugged you and said you saw him. So my question is, did you see him?
No, not that I know of. I felt some power raise me off the risers, bring me up off the risers, physically higher into where I was standing. And it was shocking. It was, that's not the right word. I don't know what the right word would be. It was just like I was overwhelmed by what it was. And
Yeah.
why was Sean Humphreys staring at me? And why was one of the Brown sisters doing the solo, turning around and looking at me? Why was I being hugged? It was all like surreal. This is not happening, but it was. And it was verified after the rehearsal when people said, you saw him.
Yeah.
And I consider that seeing him when I felt his moving physically to somewhere that I was. I've always been really moved by the music. That's my spiritual connection. I don't go to churches normally, other than go to perform and go to a Christmas Eve service
Yeah.
every year. But that's it. If I joined a church around here, I'd get criticized by other people that I sing with for, why aren't you coming to sing with us in our church? I said, well, we can do that, but to be a regular person who goes regularly to a church service, I don't do that. But that's what I meant by I saw him,
Yeah.
I felt him, his presence in me. He's part of my life, a main part of my life. Somebody who I asked to help me be a better person all the time. And I've become a better person as a result of that experience as I don't know, a starting point or a point that moved me more and more
Yeah.
towards being a
So
good
it
person.
sounds like instead of seeing, you had more of a knowing that somehow,
Yes, that
from
presence
this
was there.
experience, you knew what it was, even though you didn't know what it was.
Right. I knew it wasn't the guys that normally link with me lifting me up
Yeah.
because we weren't doing that at the time. It
Yeah.
was not a time to link up the clap and sway at the same time.
Well, as you've lived your life on the other side of that experience, uh, it it doesn't mean that your life has been easy. Like, it hasn't been devoid of issues or health problems or anything like that. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In the last 4 months, I've had two different fractured vertebrae. And so I'm doing all kinds of physical therapy things to try to get better from that. And I was blessed with COVID from almost a little over 3 years ago that has given me two permanent, irreversible lung disease damages that will someday, 25, 30, 40 years from now, kill me from not having enough oxygen to breathe. But no, I'm, I still get sick. I'm still, nothing's really changed with respect to those types of things. I'm a nicer person.
Well, I have to say you're one of the most generous people I know. Uh,
Thank you.
as someone who has worked hard all your life and uh, benefited from that work financially, uh, you are very generous in many ways, to your brother, to people around you. Uh, Part of that generosity is having a condominium in Maui where you invite people to come visit for a couple weeks and enjoy
Only
those
special people.
sunsets.
Yeah.
And uh, I'm happy to say that Amy and I took you up on that offer at one point, and can still remember those sunsets. So there's a question of denomination that I want to throw out there, because as you sang in choirs with your grandmother and leading them and your family around you growing up, was there any particular denomination that you landed in, that you sang for, or was it a variety?
Well, I was baptized Episcopalian because that's where my grandmother was when we first started. And then this Homewood Methodist Church was a Methodist thing. Um, I was I was married by a Universalist Unitarian minister in on Oahu in Hawaii. So I don't think there's any denomination that I would be claiming. I think there's probably an afterlife. Uh, I I haven't really studied or read religious books at all, other than I was required to read passages from the Bible when I was younger, uh, before I could go out and play with my boyfriends in the dump behind our house when I grew up. Um, so no denomination. I was I've been married 3 times. I kind of not really dumped, but I was uh, told that by my first wife that we really, if we wanted to keep our friendship from high school, we really should split up and go in different directions, which we did. And my second wife was a Jew, and not really practicing, but during 22 years I was married to Carly, who incidentally recently died, like this last Saturday, which was kind of sad. And she's married to just this wonderful guy at this point in time. But we did, and we would go through Jewish services occasionally, but not very often. So some of the books I read were like Chaim Potok was one of the authors, and so I know Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu, and I've gone to different services at my mother-in-law and father-in-law's house through that situation. This Linda Palmer, who I've been married to for 25 and a half years now, is not super religious person. Our main spiritual activity is performing the Messiah in different parts of the world, Europe, the world being Europe and many different places in the United States. And I'd say we're Christian basically, yet we've tried to bring other. There's an Islamic group in town that I've tried to get involved with our Philharmonic Orchestra to get more people involved with just the singing and rejoicing that we do as an orchestra. But no, I don't really have a denomination.
Yeah.
I
So this idea of
the person that I pray to is Jesus Christ, which is a Christian
yeah,
spirit.
this idea of traveling Europe and singing, how did that come about?
Once I retired from ALCOA, I wasn't actively involved with singing with the Philharmonic Orchestra till late in my career with ALCOA. And so after I retired from ALCOA, I did some consulting work at silly amounts of money that were way more bigger than what I used to get from ALCOA. And my chorus conductor at the time, Bob Moody, said he wanted to perform in Carnegie Hall. And I thought, I'd really like to sing in Carnegie Hall. So I decided, well, this consulting stuff is the same bureaucratic stuff I had to deal with Alcoa. I don't really enjoy that much, other than it gives a bunch of money to my wallet, which I really don't have to have. So I'm going to go rent Carnegie Hall and take my chorus there to sing. So I did. I rented Carnegie. I found out how to rent Carnegie Hall through a guy named Peter Taboris. And Bob Moody, my conductor of our chorus, just got a job to become the associate conductor of the Phoenix Symphony Orchestra. So he was going to Phoenix. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to get Carnegie Hall. You get a bunch of people from Phoenix. I'll get our chorus, and we'll go to Carnegie Hall and we'll sing. And so we did. And Bob brought 20-some people from Phoenix. And we had, I don't remember the exact numbers, like 50 other people from our chorus, because you have to pay money to go sing in Carnegie Hall. It's not just practice, practice, practice. It's dollars, dollars, dollars. And we went and sang in Carnegie Hall. I have these big pictures of our performance at Carnegie Hall. Like, huge, very deep. I can look at this big picture and I can see Linda and I can see myself and all these different people in the picture. And so after that got to be kind of fun. I started putting trips together to go sing in different places. So the first one was Italy. I took 97 people to Italy, and we performed in the Grand Duomo in Florence and a bunch of other fabulous little towns in Italy. And then took 70 people to London a few years later. And then we went to Canada, to Vancouver and Victoria. Victoria is the capital of Vancouver. And who has a capital of their province or state on an island outside of the main part of
Right.
Well, Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange, but that's what it was. So that's what I did. I take care of making that happen. And then the orchestra wasn't happy with me doing those things because and I wasn't using the orchestra's name, the Evansville Philharmonic Orchestra. I was doing it, singers from the Evansville Philharmonic Orchestra, things of that sort. So they were a little offended by it, even though it was my money that was backing the trip. If anything happened, I'm the one responsible, not the orchestra. So that's how I got singing in different places. I mean,
Yeah.
Since then I've stopped doing that, and unfortunately the chorus has stopped doing trips now because there's nobody there to do it because of the restrictions on how you do it, how you go about making it happen.
So it sounds like
life.
you ended up being a producer and a manager as part of your role, not just a singer.
Yeah, which I do with the orchestra. I've been on the board of the orchestra 2 different stints of 8 years, and it's they seem to lose their financial control after a while, and I get back involved and try to make sure that the board of directors of the orchestra understands that they have people that support their organization, and they have to keep track of making sure they keep a relationship with all these supporters. So that's I've now gotten out of that again, and we hired a development director for the orchestra to give me a break as an 80-year-old guy who's had less and less hours in a day to work with. And I guess that keeps going as we get older, Bob.
I've noticed that
Instead of
too.
24 hours, yeah, it's like 18 hours in a day. And now I have to do, 2 of those for physical therapy every day now.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. How did I drift off into this piece of oblivion here?
that's just fine. Uh, so the holiday season's coming up, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're maybe doing the Messiah again. What are you up to this year?
Yeah. 59th, different year of my life. I'm doing all of it or a portion of it. We also have every year, the first weekend in December is something that is called Peppermint Pops, which is a Pops concert to kick off the Christmas season in the Evansville area. And Evansville's like 175 people, 175,000 people in our general community here. And so it's a pretty big thing. So Monday nights we rehearse, and got some of the more difficult music. For some reason, people want to make more complicated versions of music that uh, we've always enjoyed singing. Everybody knows the tune of "Oh Holy Night" and "Sleigh Bells Ring, Are You Listening in the Lane, Snow is Glistening," and all kinds of other Christmas carols. But modern day composers want to distort all the melodies and twist them into some different kinds of sounds. So we're learning to do different kinds of sounds.
Yeah.
And there's some frustration by the older people in our chorus, like me.
Well, the composers want to put their stamp on it, their originality that they're going to add to it. And
Yeah.
I know a singer who sings with the Mendelssohn Choir here in Pittsburgh, and uh, he likes to be challenged. He does, he's not as interested in doing the
Yeah.
same thing over and over again. He wants a challenge, and that's what keeps him interested in the music. So I think that may be what you're
Yeah.
getting from some of the younger folks.
Yeah. And the conductors of our orchestra want challenges too. So we we support that. Linda and I sponsor every year. We sponsor a concert that like 2 years ago it was Mozart's Requiem, and they wanted to do it in the spring, but in the spring, because of these lung diseases, I spend more and more time in Maui, 3 months. So
Yeah,
uh, if I'm in Maui during January, February, and March, I can't perform to sing a piece of music in March. So we said we'll give you a lot more money than you're usually getting to sponsor a concert if you move that concert to the fall, so Linda and I can participate. So we do that. We help support and sponsor the concerts, and that's one of the things that I do when I come back to work with the orchestra as a volunteer, and that is to get people to sponsor the music that we have. And the Pittsburgh's a real lucky city, by the way. That they're the most endowed orchestra in the country. Endowed, like money that helps run a not-for-profit symphony
yeah,
orchestra, like
right.
the Pittsburgh Symphony, comes from 3 places: ticket sales, endowment, and contributed income. And the Pittsburgh Symphony has like 70% of the money they need to run that comes from endowed money from the Mellons, the Carnegies, and Heinz, other people of that sort. Whereas our little thing, 5% of the money comes from endowment, and ticket sales is like 25%, but the rest is contributed by other companies in our area and by individuals like Linda and I. And so
Yeah.
that's again, I know I'm straying off into some other part of the world,
No,
You
that's
didn't
okay.
tell
I
me
mean,
about.
it's all part of the reality. You know,
Yeah,
we can live from a spiritual place, but we live in a material reality. So somehow we've got to
yeah,
make those two things work together. Just making sure that we don't forget our spiritual essence while we're dealing
yeah,
with these material things that we have to deal with every day. You know, and I think
yes.
that's you so eloquently expressed it that after that experience that you had, you've changed your attitude, your point of view, your just the way that you're grateful for every day. You know, that's a great place to be
Yeah,
coming from. You know, because once you have that solid foundation, nothing else can really affect you very much in a negative way.
yeah, that's for sure. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Gosh.
So
And I've been very fortunate in my life to have had success in a lot of play areas, and I'm embarrassed to to be receiving more money than I should deserve, just because of the tax laws we have, for example, and the way that our investments grow. Uh, we can't give money away fast enough.
yeah.
We have everything that we need. So why? I don't. I can't understand why everybody doesn't have uh, the same success I have, because I was given gifts of uh, the ability to go out and get money from people, or the ability to do different things, and other people don't. Why don't they have the same enjoyment of life that I have? So I'm happy to share everything I've got with it
Yeah.
with people that I care about, which are hundreds of those.
Well,
And I
I'm
hope that
not
I
going to put your
always
phone
do.
number on my website. I usually put contact information on my website, but after that
Well,
statement you made, I think you'd be flooded with requests.
well,
So,
yeah, well, people that are part of my life now,
yeah.
I'm okay at saying, nope, I'm not going to add that to my charity list. It's already
Yeah.
set for this season.
So that's another story. We have just a little bit of time, but maybe you could tell the story about how somebody who wasn't in your life suddenly appeared in your life and what that's meant to you,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, okay. Somebody that's especially been part of my life recently has been, I mentioned my second wife, Carly, uh, died after a 3 year bout with Alzheimer's disease. And I've gotten to know her husband uh, very, very much more than I have been before. She's become a real part of my life. He has become a real part of his life. And I've been talking with him a lot in the past 6 months about the challenges that he's had uh, being a nursemaid for for Carly, and then finally getting her into a facility that could take some of the load off of Mark. And this guy is just like this wonderful person. He's just given all of his life to take care of her, and he was prepared for this moment when she would eventually pass, which was last Saturday. And I'm going to keep talking to him every month or so about, how things are going with how he's moving forward, and bringing more people into his life. So at any rate, I don't know if that's really what you wanted to hear, but he's a person that's new in my life, or he's been new for a long time, and I've known him a
Yeah.
little bit, but not as much as I have since in the last 6 months,
Yeah.
when his wife and my ex-wife gradually deteriorated, and died, passed on to a better place.
Okay. Well, this is the point in the podcast where I ask you to leave the audience with some words of wisdom. I heard your earlier words, which was don't eat yellow snow. Uh,
Yeah, that was not important.
well, do, do you have any others?
Um, that golden rule becomes more and more important all the time to me, and that's just do unto other people as you'd have them do to you. Uh, I I really want to be a better person at respecting everybody's self-esteem, and treating them the best way that I can, and to not get angry at people, not be impatient with people. And I think everybody should be that. I wish everybody would be that way. Uh, and So love your neighbor, and all of them. Yeah, even the ones that are mean to you eventually can turn around and be good to you. And that's that's one of the reasons that I was born a Republican, and I was born a Steeler fan. I'm so proud of the Steelers, but I'm not proud of the Republican Party anymore. That their leader is not a good person. I don't like that. He may be great for our government, but it's embarrassing. And I hope that he's someone I pray for more and more now, that he will become a better human being and treat people better. And that's what we all should strive to do: treat people better, and not be angry, not do things out of hatred, or do things out of love and caring for others. That's what I hope my life will be from here on for the next 20, 30, 40 years. That's hopeful.
All right, that's a great word to leave us with. Audience, as always, take what you've heard and put it into your life as it resonates with you. Put the rest on a shelf until you're ready to deal with. And until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.